Good afternoon. Last class we started with the new concept, so that was national movement and Mahatma Gandhi. So already one uh, phase of national movement, so that was launched by Gandhiji. So that is non-cooperation movement. Already we have discussed in the previous class, especially the causes for the non-cooperation movement. So that was the Jallianwala Bagh tragedy, Rowlatt Act, and Khilafat movement. Then we started studying about the non-cooperation movement, its programs, then the impact of the non-cooperation movement, and the Chauri Chaura incident which suspended the non-cooperation movement. So we had studied in the previous class. And the last class we started studying about causes for the, civil disobedience movement or circumstances that led to launch civil disobedience movement. So already I said, so 1922 when Gandhiji was arrested because of Chauri Chaura incident, he was taken 6 years of imprisonment. 1928, so he is out of, he was released from the, prison. Then after that, so he was just waiting for an several, he was just waiting to launch civil disobedience movement in India. So such time, so there was, incident or the concept called Simon Commission. Okay, last class we already discussed about that. So keeping Simon Commission and several, reasons. So Gandhiji launched in 1930, civil disobedience movement. So before last class we have studied one cause, that was Simon Commission, which becomes the one cause for launch of civil disobedience movement. In India. So like that, in second the cause we are having, so that is declaration of Purna Swaraj. Okay, so declaration of Purna Swaraj. So that becomes the one cause for the civil disobedience movements to be launched. So what is declaration of Purna Swaraj? If you see, INC leaders met in Lahore in 1929 and came to be known as Lahore Session. Okay, so when Simon Commission, when it came to India, when Indians asked for the participation in Simon Commission, so when the Simon Commission rejected the Indians' participation in the, commission, so for that purpose, Jawaharlal Nehru, he himself, made a report. What are the provisions that should be given to an Indians? And that report, which was prepared by Jawaharlal Nehru, so that was taken to the British government. And British government, what did they do? They rejected the report of Nehru. For that purpose, in 1929, in Lahore, all the INC leaders gathered. Okay, that gathering we call it as a Lahore session. Okay, so in the gathering, okay, the gathering was presided by Jawaharlal Nehru. Nehru passed a resolution called Purna Swaraj. Okay, in Lahore session, the resolution was passed that Purna Swaraj. Okay, Purna Swaraj means even though we have not got any independence, but we call our country as a total independent country. Okay, that title so he gave. And in order to remark the Lahore session, so the first Independence Day was celebrated on 26th January, so 1930. Okay, by hosting a tricolored flag and Kolkata. So Kolkata was the first land or first soil where the Independence Day for the first time it was celebrated. Okay, so that is the which was addressed by the Jawaharlal Nehru addressed the gathering, and in the addressing of 26 January 1930 by hosting a tricolor flag, he addressed the people. Okay, so he addressed the people and he had said the three programs in that particular, on the 26th January, so 1930, when first Independence Day was celebrated. So what was that programs? If you see, one is preparation for launch of civil disobedience movement in India, the second phase of national movement. So we are launching, so that will be called as civil disobedience movement. Okay, and the second thing he said was Purna Swaraj was the set forth for as a goal of national movement. So total independence. Okay, total independence will be our national objective goal. Okay, so this many days the self-government was a goal. So Purna Swaraj from 1930 onwards, the total independence or a Purna Swaraj will be a complete independence for an Indians from a British. That will be set as a national objective goal. And the third program he said was very important was that is observe of 26 January as every year as a Purna Swaraj Day. Not only 1930 but from 1930 onwards every year 26 January so will be completely it will be referred or it will be called as a Purna Swaraj Day, where every year we will celebrate it by hosting a tricolor flag. So by saying these three programs and the plans, so declaration of Purna Swaraj was done, and from there, so 1930, after the declaration of Purna Swaraj, as the one of the program, the civil disobedience movement was launched in 1930. So when we launched this civil disobedience movement, so 1930, so civil disobedience movement was launched. Okay, so when we talk about the civil disobedience movement, so we will be coming across two events. So one event is that is Dandi March, and another one movement will be that is a round table conference that we will see it in the next class. Civil disobedience movement. So it was launched by Gandhiji so in 1930 at Sabarmati Ashram. Okay, civil disobedience movement. The second, the national movement. So that was launched by Gandhiji so in Sabarmati Ashram in 1930. Okay, what is the civil disobedience movement? What is the civil disobedience? If you see, the word civil disobedience refers to refusal to obey certain laws. Okay, you just refuse whatever the law British government let them introduce in India, you just refuse. Okay, you just refuse. Okay, that refusal or refuse is nothing but civil disobedience. Civil is nothing but law. Disobedience means nothing but refuse. So like that, civil disobedience movement. Okay, and this was the movement which was launched by Gandhiji in 1930, soon after the Purna Swaraj declaration, so in India. And the programs and the plans. The programs and the plans will be same. I have not written here. You can copy it from the non-cooperation movement programs we are having now. Okay, last class I had written. So non-cooperation movements, the programs, same programs and plans also will come here. Okay, programs like that is surrendering the titles and the honors and boycotting the foreign goods, boycotting the the government schools and the colleges. Okay, and boycotting the practice of law under a British court, then adoption of Swadeshi. Okay, that programs and plans what we talked in the previous, that is non-cooperation movement, same programs will come to even civil disobedience movement also. So I have not written it here. Okay, you can just copy it here itself, and same programs and the plans also will come for the civil disobedience movement also. So where Gandhiji said, okay, Gandhiji said titles and the honors should be surrendered to the British, whatever we have taken. Then boycott the foreign clothes, okay, government schools, colleges, election, okay, and the practicing of a law. Okay, all these five concepts. Then adoption of Swadeshi, use Indian goods. So keeping these programs and the plans, so 1930, the civil disobedience movement was launched by Gandhiji. So when this civil disobedience movement was launched by Gandhiji, so the first and foremost the success which was seen by Gandhiji was that is breaking of salt law. Okay, salt. Basically, salt is a gift of nature. Okay, and that was imposed with heavy taxes in India. The first program Gandhiji took under the civil disobedience movement was to break the salt law in India. Okay, for that purpose, under civil disobedience movement, the first event takes up was that is called as a Dandi March. Okay, Dandi March, or we call it as a Salt March or Salt Satyagraha we call it. Okay, all three are same. Dandi March, Salt Satyagraha, and Salt March. So all these are similar. We can say it. So when we talk about the Dandi March, okay, it was launched by Gandhiji on 12th March 1930. Okay, what is this basically Dandi March? It is nothing but it is a direct action campaign against the tax resistance of British. Okay, it is a type of march which was made by an Indians, especially by Gandhiji, on the tax resistance to break the tax in India. And the march started from Sabarmati Ashram with 78 followers. Okay, so when Gandhiji started this Dandi march, just he had 78 followers. Okay, the march included the method called non-violence. Okay, no violence. It was a non-violence protest against the British government. And almost to reach this Dandi, that is in Gujarat, okay, to reach this Dandi from Sabarmati Ashram, 200 miles, almost 300 kilometers, to 78 and to 300 kilometers, they walked with the barefoot, they have walked, and on the way many volunteers joined the march, like men and women. Okay, the main aim of this Dandi march was to break salt law. Okay, to break a salt laws in India. So like that, almost to reach Dandi, it took 24 days for Gandhiji. Finally, on 6th April 1930, at 6:30 a.m., that is early in morning, so by collecting a salt from Dandi beach, so Gandhiji broke the salt law in India. So from 1930 onwards, we Indians stopped paying an salt tax to other British people. So in India, under civil disobedience movement, breaking of salt law by Gandhiji, that was the first, aims and first aim and first achievement in the Indian national movement and civil disobedience movement. Then salt law was, broke by Gandhiji, and breaking of salt law without the knowledge of a British government, it was an offense. So that is the reason when Gandhiji broke the salt law, so Gandhiji was arrested and he was taken to the prison. That was the result of a Dandi march. Then after that, announcement of round table conference, second result. So after Dandi march, Gandhiji's arrest, so round table conference was announced in India. So where three round table conference also, takes. So that is what are the round table conference that we will see in the next class. So that's about the, today's class, civil disobedience one cause, and the civil disobedience movement and the Dandi march. So what we are, having it. So these are the concepts regarding, Dandi march. And now after Dandi march, straight away we will go to round table conference. So when Gandhiji was arrested in 1930, so he was taken to the prison. So lot of measures were given. Lot of the act when it was introduced in India, that is in 1930, the new act. So that was not accepted by an INC leaders all. So that is the reason, in order to convince the INC leader, so three round table conference takes up in India. Okay, three round table conference, so which will be taking up in India. So one by one, so we are going to see all three conferences. First round table, second round table, and third round table conference we will see. And in that you will come to know about the completely about the Gandhiji's next. Then finally we end up the lesson and we will go to towards independence. Okay, so that's about the civil disobedience movements and what the one of the event which we are having it. So very important, declaration of Purna Swaraj and even the Dandi March concept. And Dandi March, the picture question. Okay, so if in your textbook there are pictures, so please just go through it. So that is very important. And here date, the days, and when, all these are very important which we are having it. So your thing is causes for the civil disobedience movement. Usually we had four, three causes we had. That is, one is Simon Commission and Nehru report, but that is not there for your syllabus this year. Okay, so that's how straight away we have gone to the declaration of Purna Swaraj, and straight away we started with the civil disobedience movement. So what we are having it. So till here you can go through it. So next class we will go with the new concept. So that will be a round table conference, and by discussing round table conference, so we will end this particular lesson. Then we will go with the new lesson. So that will be towards independence. Okay, so just go through it. If you have any doubts, so let me know it in the next classes. or else we will move with the new concepts. Thank you.